You ever feel that weird paradox of modern life? We're more connected by technology than any other time in history, but somehow we feel more disconnected, more fragmented. It's a huge challenge, right? Well, today we're going to dive into a blueprint for maybe, just maybe, putting all those pieces back together. This quote, this just nails it, doesn't it? That feeling of being all adrift. It's the constant pings, the endless scrolling, the mental exhaustion of trying to do 5 things at once. Our brains just weren't built for this constant overload, and it leaves us in this state of anxiety and stress that's become, well, kind of normal. So let's put a real name to this problem. We are living in a fragmented world. And that fragmentation, it's not just out there in society. It's inside us, too. It creates this huge gap between who we feel we are on the inside and how we're forced to live on the outside. Okay, so let's break this down. The really interesting part here is how all these things feed into each other. You've got this age of disruption, right? The cognitive overload is the new normal. And what does that do? It pushes us to create all these different online versions of ourselves, these carefully curated masks. It's exhausting, and it leads to this fractured sense of who we actually are. Then you zoom out to the big picture, and our entire society is chasing these totally flawed goals, like GDP, which has nothing to do with whether we're actually happy or healthy. It's all part of the same big problem. But, a diagnosis isn't much good without a vision for how to get better. So what would wholeness even look like? Well, an early, almost poetic answer to that question popped up back in 2011. It was a concept called Pantopia. Now, Pantopia isn't some far-off utopia. It's more of a mindset, a way of seeing the world as this universal field of possibilities that's available to us right here, right now. The big idea is to reframe life, to stop seeing it as this grueling linear struggle and start seeing it as more of a cosmic game or dance, something with creativity and harmony and flow. And this image, I think, captures that feeling perfectly. The goal is what's called spontaneous synergy. It's a state where conflict and friction don't just lead to more struggle. Instead, they transform into connection, into lightness. It's that amazing feeling of flow where everything just clicks into place, not because you forced it, but because it's all in harmony. And this vision isn't just some abstract idea. It's actually grounded in the principles of the martial art Aikido, which is all about finding harmony in motion. It gives us a path to wholeness through these 5 freedoms. You start with your core energy, then your sense of existence, then mobility, learning, and finally your authentic expression. Each one is a real, tangible principle you can actually feel and practice. So, how do we get from this beautiful, poetic dream to something we can actually use in our lives? This is the key transition. The Pantopian vision, that's the why, it's the beautiful music. It had to evolve into a practical system. That system is called the tree of self. It's the how. It's the actual score that tells us which notes to play. All right, so let's get into it. The tree of self. This is the practical, powerful model for achieving that sense of wholeness that Pantopia was dreaming about. Everything starts at the roots of the tree, with a very old Greek idea, Αυτογνωσία, or self-knowledge. This is the deep, internal work. And it's not just about thinking about yourself a lot. It's about the really hard work of trying to see yourself and the world with pure, unbiased perception. But let's be honest, seeing clearly is incredibly hard. Our perception is constantly clouded by what this model calls the wombs of bias. First, there's that primal womb of fear. Then you've got the sneakier one, self-deception, which is where things like the Dunning-Kruger effect live. And maybe the toughest of all is the womb of conviction, where our own deeply held beliefs and biases literally stop us from seeing what's right in front of us. But once we start clearing away those biases at the root level, we can start to grow the crown of the tree. This is another Greek concept, Αυτοποίηση, or self-creation. This is the point where that clear inner perception starts to show up in the real world as authentic action. It's how you bring your inner truth to life. Now, here's the most important part. Self-knowledge and self-creation, they're not 2 separate steps. No, they're locked in this constant feedback loop, like a yin and a yang. The clearer you see yourself, the more authentically you can act, and the more you act, the more feedback you get, which deepens your self-knowledge. It's this amazing, continuous cycle of growth. And what's really cool is that this model of inner work, it doesn't just apply to us as individuals. Once you learn how to see your own internal code clearly, you can use that same lens to look at the bigger systems we all live in. It becomes a blueprint for, well, hacking the system's code. This brings us to something called the Hakama Principle, named after those pleated trousers you see in some Japanese martial arts. The idea is simple but profound. We spend way too much time fixing the visible symptoms, the pleats, instead of getting to the root cause. Real, lasting solutions only happen when you re-engineer the system's invisible central axis, its fundamental first principle. This chart just lays it out so clearly. We obsess over the pleats, things like GDP, the unemployment rate, the stock market, but that's literally just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The Hakama Principle says no, forget the deck chairs, focus on the central axis. We need to stop tinkering with the symptoms and fundamentally change the direction the ship is heading. So let's apply this to the economy. GDP is the ultimate pleat. It's a metric that ignores almost everything that actually makes life good. Inequality, the environment, all the unpaid work people do. The real central axis, the true goal, should be human flourishing. And this isn't just a fantasy. Countries like New Zealand are actually doing this with their well-being budget. It's possible. So, if we're going to re-engineer society for wholeness, what role does our most powerful new technology play? This leads us to the final piece of this puzzle, a totally new way of thinking about AI, one that's designed not for profit, but for human flourishing. We need a complete paradigm shift here. Traditional AI is built for one thing, efficiency and profit. It's a tool. This new vision, called human open intelligence, has a totally different goal, human wholeness. It's not a tool, it's a partner, a mirror, even a safe place for you to grow. It's designed to fight dehumanization and a lack of purpose, not just inefficiency. And here's a glimpse of how it might work in practice, the AWS system. First, an awareness engine acts like a mirror, simply showing you your own patterns without judgment. Then, and this is the genius part, it makes you wait. An intentional pause. Instead of giving you a quick fix, it forces you to reflect and build your own cognitive muscle. Only then does it offer a personalized catalyst, a gentle nudge to help you make a positive change. And look, this isn't just some fuzzy, feel-good idea. There is a real, measurable well-being dividend. The data is crystal clear. Companies that actually invest in the wholeness of their people see bigger profits, better productivity, and they keep their employees longer. It turns out, wholeness pays. And the cost of ignoring this? Get ready for this number. $1 trillion. That's the estimated loss to the global economy every single year just from poor mental health. The cost of fragmentation isn't abstract, it's real, and it is absolutely massive. Which brings us right back to that initial dream of Pantopia. A truly flourishing society isn't something that can be designed and imposed from the top down. It has to emerge organically, like a fractal pattern, from the individual people who have done the hard work of finding their own wholeness. The micro-level work on ourselves is what creates the macro-level reality of a better world. So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. In a world that is completely obsessed with speed, efficiency, and productivity, what would it even be like to have a technology designed for just one thing, your own wholeness? And if you had it, what would be the first thing you'd ask?